Hey folks, recovering from my surgery here at my house. Missing classes, that's alright. My professors care about me. So, just hanging out. I was able to complete a deal basically by, I was getting text from Kurt as we speak. Pretty much, I made a deal, pretty much solidified a deal at hospital bedside. I was literally getting about to get admitted to the surgical table, and I wanted to get a deal done that involved some big name players, and also just recently a trade has went through involving a bunch of big name players. So we're gonna dip right into that. Standings are pretty crazy right now, pretty close in assists, goals. A lot of trades are going on, try to claw up in these categories, and we'll look at that right now. So the first deal that happened was by me. I traded James Buffington, Vokoun, and Parisi, who could be a great pickup for James when Zajac comes back and Parisi gets back into shape, because Parisi only 2 or 3 years ago had 96 points and 82 points. So he's slow, off to a slow start, but he is an elite forward when he produces. With that, James gets Buffington, who has 13 points in 13 games, and Vokoun, who creates a lot of wins, playing a good team in Washington, and also with a new coach, will probably play better than his numbers suggest, and never had below 920 in, I think, the past 5 or 6 seasons. So a very solid goalie James gets. What do I get in return? I get Mr. Daniel Sedin, the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Sedin had 104 points last year. He won the Art Ross, and that's the price it takes to get a guy like that. I get Cam Ward as well, who had a 926 save percentage last year, at least a 916 in his past 3 years. I haven't seen Carolina really lose too many people here. I'm just assuming it's a slow start with the new coach. I think Ward can bounce back and be almost equal to Vokoun for the rest of the year, barring the wins. But I think Ward gets more shutouts, believe it or not. But James makes out pretty well, covers all of his bases, and I get Daniel Sedin to go along with Crosby, which is pretty much ridiculous. But I paid a price. I now have Pickanen instead of Buffington. Pickanen's doing well. Buffington, the only thing I remember with Buff is he's 300 pounds, he's overweight, and he cooled down tremendously last year. Teabaggers, you remember that? But he had 40 points in 40 games. Interesting fact, last year. So he should keep producing for James. We're only 20 games into the season. Sorry, jeez. So that's the trade I made. Impacts. Daniel Sedin has tons of power play points. He scores lots of goals, gets lots of assists. He's probably going to be a 100-point player, and I'm going to catch him for about 70 of those points. So that should be nice. I have no problem with trading Parisi as long as Sedin produces. And Pitkanen and Buffington, I'll probably miss out on 10 points there, 15 points, but that's alright. I'll be able to deal with it. I'll survive. The plus-minus should be the same. Pitkanen gets more, regular points. Buffington gets more power play points, but I can deal with it because Sedin has 20 power play points already. So, pretty much what it comes down to, if Parisi comes back and does well, James probably wins the trade, and Vokoun does well. If Ward comes back, and he does well, and Sedin does how he's supposed to, and everyone does what they're supposed to, I think it's a pretty even trade. I might have gotten the better of it if Parisi doesn't do well, which I doubt. When Sedin comes along, you got to free up space for these bigger name guys. I'm out Mike Richards with a concussion. God knows how long that will last. We'll see. Another trade that went on is Carl's trade with Matty. I made my opinions pretty clear about the trade to Matt when it happened. The trade isn't terrible. I like Pavelski. I like him a lot. I think he's terrific. But he's not a number 1 or number 2 forward. He's more like a 4 or a 5. Now, judging from the Eric scale, I have Sedin, Crosby, Richards, Solani, or Yager. Would I take Pavelski over any of those guys? Probably not. So I would consider him my 6th forward. Yeah, especially since he's been slowing down recently. So the way I look at it, and I have Thornton, so it'd be like my 6-7 forward. Anyway, with that said, Matt trades Carey Price. Now, the reason why, Matt, it's not, and I've told you before, and Carl's probably thinking, oh, this is just like Eric to tear apart every one of my deals. Listen, Carey Price went in the second round, okay? Matt should have been able, Carey Price has been playing well, unlike every other, like a lot of other second round goalies, or third round goalies. Cam Ward, Halak, okay? Volkun isn't doing great. You know, these top goalies who get taken, Luongo, right? These top goalies who get taken, not doing so well. But you know who's doing well? Carey Price. He's playing where you drafted him. And what do you trade him for, Matty? You trade him for an above-average defenseman who has a broken collarbone and will be back by the end of the month, which is okay. I mean, he's good. He's not a game changer. He's not an elite defenseman. I would put him in the top 15, but I wouldn't put him in the top 5 or the top 10. All right? He's no Letang. He's no Chara. He's no Keith. Even though you have both those guys, Letang and Keith. All right? But, I mean, you're looking for a little injury help from Letang. That's not going to help you because Enstrom can't even go in for your lineup. So you have Corvo and Subban in now, which is fine. All right. So you trade him for Enstrom and you get Pavelski. Pavelski, good forward. Above average forward. Great forward? Not yet. All right? He hasn't really done it before. I don't know what his max is. It's probably like 65 points. All right? So far. I'm not saying he won't get 80 points this year. But wouldn't you rather have tested the price market a little bit more? Wouldn't you have rather, I don't know, thought about it before you go willy-nilly and leaving yourself with Schneider and Niemi, who, you know, as great as he is, you have an unhealthy love for him, Niemi. So my offer to you was Solani and Ward for Price. Straight. Okay? Solani and Ward. Ward can come back, and you know that. Solani is better than Pavelski. Newsflash. Solani is going to get 80 points this year. Again. Because he got it last year. And he did it many years before. He scored 70 goals in the season once. It doesn't matter if he's 41. You don't see Kurt jumping at the gun to get rid of Nick Lidstrom, who's at the top of the defensive categories. Do we? No. So you had the chance of getting Solani and Ward just for Price. You would have held on to Schneider, right? And you would have got Ward. But instead of Ward, you took Enstrom, who, last time I checked, could not bail out Schneider if he does not play. So, Matt, what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to say this to everyone, because it makes total sense, and then when I'm trying to deal with Kurt for Elliott and Halak, this is what I don't get. Okay? Schneider will play, if he's lucky, half the games. Okay? And we know that. There's no arguing. I don't think Matt will argue that. If Luongo gets hurt, whole different story. That's an if. We don't like ifs. I hate ifs. Right? So if Luongo gets hurt, you're in great shape. If Schneider keeps playing out of his mind, he might get more starts. If. Right? But what you're doing now, and it's not an if, right? You're leaving yourself with Niemi and Schneider as your goalies now. So now instead of everyone looking at Matt and being like, oh my God, look at Matt's goalies. This is rough. You go, right, and you trade Marleau and for Keith, and Marleau is better than Pavelski, and I'm like still trying to figure that one. Because you traded Quick for Niemi. You love Niemi, right? So now you are telling me you're going to ride with Niemi and Schneider, and you're not going to drop in goals and shutouts? In wins and shutouts? Save percentage will stay the same, most likely. Goals against, most likely, unless Niemi starts to suck. He's shown times where he does that. So does every goalie. So pretty much what this trade needs to do, okay, for it to pay off for Matt, is Pavelski by himself compared to the forward who he puts in. So say that Grabner was the forward or Molson was the forward. and he put Pavelski in over him, those stats, so say Pavelski would score 20 goals the rest of the year, and Molson would score 10 goals the rest of the year. So then Pavelski has a 10-goal advantage to Molson. All right? So does that advantage, okay, the difference between his forward that he was going to put in and now Pavelski, match the intensity that is going to fall onto Matt when he drops at least 3 points in wins and will probably drop a couple of points in shutouts? So that's 5 points. All right? 5 points minimum. That's without Adam on your ass. And that's without Rick now picking up Bulin, right? And if Hiller turns it around, you're screwed. So now you're telling me that, and this is the thing, you're going to drop a little bit in save percentage now that Carl has everyone, right? You're going to drop to Carl in save percentage. I'm going to say you're losing 6 points in goaltending right there. 6. All right? And you need to make up those 6 points with Pavelski. Right? And then Enstrom there? I mean, I don't know, man. Is it worth it? Because you could have got Enstrom for Schneider. Whatever. So, pretty much what you need is Enstrom. No, because you could have got Schneider for Enstrom. So, pretty much, the trade that could have happened was Enstrom and a pick for Schneider, which was what I was told. So, cast those guys aside. All right? Does the difference between Price and Schneider make up the difference between a Pavelski and the last forward you have? I don't know. We'll see. Very interesting. Now, what Carl gets. All right, here's I like it. I love it. But here's the thing. If everyone unites and doesn't trade to Carl for a goalie, Carl loses this deal pretty bad. Eventually, somewhere down the line, Carl will need to trade a goalie. Because he now has Rini, Fleury, and Price. Probably 3 of the top, at least top 10 goalies. I would say top 5. He has 3 of them. So, what Matt has set the value at for a top goalie is Price was worth, and he's an elite. Price is an elite. Price was worth an above average defenseman with an injury, and number 5, number 4 for some of you who aren't lucky enough to have my team, forward for an elite goalie. So, we'll see what Carl is able to manage from the Ricks. Maybe Matt, when Matt realizes he made a huge mistake. James might be in on the action. Fuzi, if he was smart. But we know Fuzi. Fuzi's going to try to keep offering Klo for Smith. But, I mean, Fuzi and Carl match up for a deal great now. Is Fuzi looking to give up the offense? I don't know. I want to just use the analogy, right? That everyone, it's like the carrot on the stick. And you see it, and it's in front of your face. And it's called my offense. Okay? Now, barring injuries, which no one can foresee, and no one can predict, and it's part of the game, barring injuries, my offense is ridiculous. Okay? 5. The number of players producing at a point or game or higher on my team. Okay? And that's Mike Richards is on the bench with his 10 goals, with his concussion. Hemsky and Havlat. Okay, with Zajac coming back soon. Zajac had 67 points a couple years ago when Parisi was healthy. So, my bench is there. I still have Chara, and I still have Streit, who I think will turn it around. I'm actually pretty confident. That leaves me with Jack Johnson, who had 43 points and 28 power play points last year, and Yoni Pikkinen to rotate as my third people. Now, my third defenseman. So, for all of those, right, for all of those really trying to match my offense, Matt, you think you're coming close? Not even. Crosby outpoints Malkin, right, the rest of the year. So does that mean that you're ready to say that your offense, even if you compare Crosby and Malkin equal, do you think your offense could take on mine without Malkin? And without Crosby? And you downgraded your goaltending for it. And you will pay. You will pay. So, Matt, what I have to say to you, if you're trying to catch my offense, is
good luck.
Not going to happen. Anyway, with that said, I hope everyone's doing well. Some other thing. I mean, there's some injuries going on. Pronger, knee surgery. Okay. We have Lettinen hurt. Howie's getting hit hard. Okay. We have Fuzi realizing that Brodeur is not going to cut it. It's starting. It starts now for Fuzi because this is when you start getting offers from Fuzi, you know he's starting to feel it. It's what happened before he traded for Hedberg. He traded Campbell. It's going to happen again. He's starting to feel the pinch. Okay? He needs a goalie to be considered a championship contender. He's in the money. He will probably be in the money as long as Kessel keeps up his pace or about his pace and Pominville does what they're supposed to do. All of his forwards do what they're supposed to do. Fuzi would be number 3, number 4. But without a second legitimate goalie who will not kill his stats, Fuzi will not win the league. And Fuzi knows that. Fuzi's not a dumb guy. Fuzi figures it out. But who is willing to trade the goalie? Carl? Probably now. He has 3 top goalies. But we'll see. Fuzi, just a word of advice to everyone trading for a goalie. Matt has set the market for elite. The market is a number 2 defenseman, a number 4 or 5 forward, and if that defenseman's injured and not coming back to the end of the month, even better. Okay? And he got back He gave Grabner too, which Grabner could turn into something. He's got the groin injury. That's fine. Well, Emstrom's hurt too. But that's the market. Try not to overpay in the market. Now, I think personally that Rini, Fleury, or Price is worth Getzlaf or Perry. Probably worth right below the elite forwards, like the Datsuks, the Thorntons, the anything in the world. Those goalies are absolutely worth those guys. They're not worth Crosby, Sedin, Malkin. But they're worth Perry, especially now. And they're worth Getzlaf. Not Stamkos, but right below. And we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I'm very interested to see what Carl does. Because he's got guys, he can talk to anyone. Makes trades with everyone. I'm curious to see where he goes. Does he go to Adam? Adam doesn't have too much more offense to give, and he knows that. Not too much. He's got some good chips, but I don't think he has what it takes to get Price without killing his offense. He can make the offer, but I don't know if he can sustain. Right? We'll see, guys. We'll see. Anyone looking for a trade? Let me know. Okay. And when Boulin went for Nash, so a ha 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 told you so is in order. Everyone knocking Boulin's value. He just went for Rick Nash. And he went for Chara before. So it's like Boulin has value. Who was saying that before and he was offering him pretty much for nothing? This guy. I was offering him, I was offering Keith and Boulin for Edler at one point. Badgers could probably use another goalie. But that's neither here nor there. So, for you, Maddie, after you consult me and ask me, you had a good deal with Adam on the table. I thought you were going to take that. I was pretty happy that you were able to do that. And I was happy for Adam that he was able to get another goalie. With that deal on the table, you throw it away. And now you roll with Schneider. And we'll see. If Schneider comes back and plays well, you'll finish in second place behind me. You know. But I'm not worried about your goaltending anymore. You have Niemi and Schneider. I would roll Ward and Smith against Niemi and Schneider any day of the week. This is going to be fun. And what Carl does is going to be even funner. Because I can't knock the trade. I can't knock an elite goalie trade. What am I going to do? I'm going to tell you pay too much? Unless you're paying a top forward and a top defenseman for one of Carl's goalies, you're not paying too much. But Matt has set the value. You understand what I'm saying? Matt has set the value at a number 2 defenseman, number 4 or 5 forward. Okay? That's what the value, market value is. That's what we call market value. Kurt will understand that one day. Okay? It won't be Kurt offering Solani and Ward for Elliott and Locke. Solani's an 80-point forward. We'll see. We'll see. Should be fun. Should be fun. So, with that, I guess, that's pretty much it. 20 minutes. A lot to say. Sorry, Maddie. I think you're done. Unless somehow Enstrom comes back and grows wings, and Enstrom changes the name on his back from Enstrom to Chara, you're not in great shape. And here he is. The battle begins. Malkin, Kessler, Vanek, who started off hot, now is slowing very, very fast. So we got Malkin, Vanek, Kessler, Pavelski, right? JVR's there. I think we're missing a top 4 to yours, Matty. Who am I missing? Patrice Bergeron and Matt Moulson and Marchand. My offense could roll with your offense any day of the week. So with that said, since you have no one to match Sedin, this is going to be a rough time for you, Matty. And as your goaltending stats fall, I told you so. And I told you so with Bulin too, guys. Maybe this kid is on to something. Maybe he knows what he's talking about. Maybe he won the hardware last year. Maybe. Oh wait, it did happen. I won last year. Maybe you should listen to me a little bit more. Possible. Later.